So, a little show called Moon Knight is out on Disney Plus right now. 3 episodes in as of Easter Sunday. Uh, Not gonna do an episode by episode
Yeah.
breakdown. Just kind of, especially Mr. Sonic 2 over there hasn't seen it.
Hey, man.
and yeah, and he's like, it's not grabbing his interest. I'm very lukewarm on this, even 3 episodes in. I
Mhm.
don't know.
I'm happy for the people. Like, I know people who like the Moon Knight
Mhm.
character. I knew if they liked before it, so for
Yeah.
them, I'm happy
Right.
for it. But for me, I mean, Moon Knight. I need the Moon Knights from Aqua Teen Hunger Force if you're going to be advertising. Moon
There you
Knight.
go. The Moonanites. Yeah, there you go.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, look. I know absolutely nothing about Moon Knight going into this, and I love it. I think it's great. But then again, it's Oscar Isaac, and I loved Poe Dameron. His character
He's
Poe
been
Dameron in
great.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
He is the anchor
he's
for
what's
this.
keeping me in it.
Yeah, and then of course Ethan Hawke is playing a reasonably good, sinister villain. I think that they kind of there's been a fan theory going around that like he's just like an avatar of Dracula, like he's like a modern day Dracula or something. And I'm like, I could see it potentially just by the way his character is, but I don't think that's going to wind up being a thing. But because I mean, obviously they don't own the rights to Dracula, so I mean they really couldn't do that. But he was asked. I forget what talk show he went on. He was asked like point blank if Blade was going to be in the show, and he was just really mum about that. Like he really couldn't say anything. And I was like, oh boy, here we go, Mahershala Ali. We're going to get to see him as Blade.
Well, you say, and you meant bring that up because there was that talk at the end of the lovely movie known as The Eternals.
I still haven't finished that movie, by the way.
Don't bother.
That
Don't bother.
Oh my god.
That the ending, the post credit the after credit scene, could tie Blade, could bring Blade in. So I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
You've got my interest if you're talking Blade might show up now. Like I said, Blade, and
So Blade's got a connection to Moon Knight? Because
I don't know if they're
just
just. Well, I mean, like, okay, look. When we had Daredevil, they kind of brought Punisher in. I mean, he didn't really ever have to be in Daredevil, but he was like the focus of the first part of the second season. So they obviously are not doing that with Blade, but we could potentially see him show up. But they have confirmed that Moon Knight is going to be a limited series. So at this point, so it's not going to have a second season foreseeable. It's the same as Hawkeye. It was just going to be a limited run.
Yeah.
And I think that Disney does that when they realize that it's not getting the traction that would warrant having a second season. But I mean, overall, I would say I'm not anywhere near as into it as I was for some of the bigger ones like Loki and things like that. But it's an interesting twist, and I will say Moon Knight and Deadpool need to have a show together. Could you imagine a schizophrenic guy with Wade Wilson, and then Wade Wilson shows him the gloriousness of the fourth wall, and like how to speak to the audience like he does. Could you imagine that a schizophrenic guy? and the thing is like supposedly we haven't seen all of the personalities that he has because in this last episode, not huge spoilers, but there were some gaps where they couldn't figure out who was in control of the body. And supposedly that's going to be, we may get to see in the next episode, that's this other
third side to him.
Yes. Well, I guess that would be fourth because what's his name? The god kind of plays, he's the cameraman. Yeah. Khonshu kind of plays the cameraman, even though he's now not in the picture, but anyway. Yeah.
The show is beautiful. It's shot really well. It's gorgeous. The effects are great. Oscar Isaac, definitely top tier. One of my favorite actors. But Yeah, the story's been so convoluted so far.
Yeah.
I've not. It's not been easy to follow.
Yeah, I think that's what my kind of hang up has been a little bit. It that first episode, I was like, what we're all over. I mean, I know it's first episode, give it time, the growth, the build, but
The second one was better. We watched
Yeah.
it with the kids again this weekend. And seeing the second episode the second time around was much better. And the third one I enjoyed.
Mhm.
Do you think that the first episode being a little more weird had to do with him being a schizophrenic guy, and we were actually trying to figure out what the heck was going on because we didn't know if it was Steven or Mark?
Yeah, well, just the way that they shoot, things would just change all of a sudden, and then it would flip to this, and it would flip to that, and then there were all these voices. I'm like, well, who's talking to who, and what's going on, and why? Yeah,
Yeah, just
Well,
not being familiar with the character did not help.
Yeah. Well, and the way that I saw it was after I watched, because I watched the first episode and I had the same opinion. It was like it was really weird.
yeah,
And then once I realized what was going on, I went back and watched it again. And I was like, I think that this directorial style, they're trying to make us also feel what it's like to be him, where it's like it's going,
I mean, true.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
I don't know. It's like I said, I'm watching it. I'm not saying that I don't like it. It's just, I don't know. I'm very, like I said, I'm very lukewarm right now.
Mhm.
I'm
I
gonna
will
have
say
kind of a-
that he will be a really good character once they actually bring him into the MCU and get him with the rest of the, whatever the next team is going to be, that they pull together. He will probably be, especially when they get him near Deadpool. I think that that's going to be like a match, like bros. I think that they're going to be amazing.
I excuse me. I don't know if this is kind of a hot take or not. I'm kind of getting marveled out.
Understandable.
The bringing all the mysticism and all these things into play now, which I totally get. I never read a whole lot of those types of stories within the comic books. I love the Infinity Saga and that first big part of the MCU that established it.
Yeah.
Loved it. And I'm looking forward to the new Doctor Strange. Wanda, Scarlet Witch, of course, I'm looking forward to it. But I don't know. I guess I need to see how that's gonna tie into everything. Like I enjoyed Loki because Loki was in the first Infinity Saga. So he was still a part of that world, just like Doctor Strange and Wanda and everything. But yeah, Moon Knight and it's definitely the Eternals. The Eternals turned me off so bad. I don't know how far I'm going to be willing to go into the MCU now. It just at this point it's uncertain. They got to step it up for me a little bit.
The thing is, when we first started with the MCU, the first thing we had was Iron Man, and Iron Man kind of hooked us. But then they really clearly started building out characters. We knew where they were going. They were going with the Avengers. We knew that was the direction they were going. We don't know now. Like, what are they going to do? I mean, we know that now the X-Men are going to be involved, but how? Everything's so wishy-washy, whereas it was pretty clear-cut when we first started phase one.
Yeah.
We don't know now, so it's really easy for you to get fatigued. But they kind of have to do the magic stuff to be able to introduce these other franchises, I think, into the mix.
Yeah, and I guess that's my issue is because I'm not familiar with all the mystical side of the Marvel characters and the Marvel world and the comics and stuff. I was familiar with Captain America. I was familiar with Iron Man and the Hulk and all these other. I'm not familiar with this new batch coming up. And Guardians of the Galaxy, never knew anything about them and just fell deeply in love with them. But they were tied into all these other characters.
All right.
Well, and it didn't help either that they elected to basically neuter the Mandarin as well, with the 10 rings. Because the thing is he is Iron Man's arch villain. He is the guy. I am still sore about that Iron Man 3. I really hate that they did that. I get why they did that. Well, no, actually, I don't get why they did that. They just basically made him just a plot device in there, and that would have been he would have been a good segue into the magic portion of it.
Okay.
And because we were still in the Iron Man era, and we already had some MCU movies that weren't Iron Man under our belt, that would have been able to ease us into, by the way, we also have magic. It's not just all technology
Mhm.
and serums and things like that. It's also magic. And I think it would have introduced us a lot earlier, you know.
Well, as I say, like you may, even though what it is, comic book movies, like the first initial phase of the MCU was very what I call grounded. Like even though it had
Mhm.
out of the ordinary events, it still felt very grounded. And then eventually it got going into the space era, and now it's going to be even more wild. Now we're going into the multiverse and the magic world, which I'm not gonna like I said, Brock, you may back me up on this. Like I am more familiar with the I guess the magical mythical world of DC than I am Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I if they do stuff like that, I'll be all right with it. I mean, like I understand that better than I do the Marvel side, which is not a dig on it. I'm just saying, just my personal preference. I like the DC side better, but I'm still enjoying both. But you know, I'm more familiar with DC stuff like that.
And something that comes to my mind is when we started getting the Marvel movies, the Iron Mans, the Thor, and things like that. This is my take, and I could be wrong, but when these movies came out, they were kind of events for us.
Yes.
Yeah, they were.
Now that we've got the streaming services like Disney Plus, and I think we're even seeing this with Star Wars too, is that we're getting series and we're getting movies. So are we getting just a little, like, kind of maybe is that where some of the burnout? Because it seems like you anticipated that next Marvel movie, and now you're getting shows mixed in with movies, and you're trying to.
Well, to go off that, I mean, this is my Elizabeth Olsen bias, but how much I loved WandaVision.
Oh, I love
and I am so ecstatic to see Doctor Strange because of seeing where Scarlet Witch is going to wind up.
Yeah, right.
You know, but yeah, these other ones.
I may think you was talking about like with events. Like I think it's Disney being corporate. Like they know people are and it might be a generational thing. Like I don't know if you noticed, we have folks, 10, some of the 20 years younger than us. When they're hyper fixated on something, they are hyper fixated on it. Like like it is the eat, sleep. I mean, you can be a super fan, but they are the eat, sleep, breathe. Say Star Wars, or well, that is all they consume. Which that's fine. Hey, you live your life how you make yourself happy. But I'm saying, and that's what they're doing. I think this is kind of what's just doing this, like with Disney. Like they're going to know these people that eat, sleep, and breathe Marvel are going to watch Moon Knight, or Star Wars are going to watch this. That's, that's I guess it's kind of consumer direct versus. I think it's just kind of the generational way entertainment's consumed.
And I totally get that. I understand that aspect of it. I'm just, it's like I'm looking forward to the Thor movie. I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange. I'm looking forward to the next Thor movie, and then the Guardians movie that will be coming out. These movies, and I guess maybe they just, because I feel so more comfortable with these characters. I know these characters. I've watched the progression of these characters in the movies, so it has that familiarity to me, and I just want to keep seeing these characters that I love so much.
Exactly.
I think some of the fatigue that's going on, that just to kind of my theory on it is building on what Jess said. They keep adding more characters, and it's more characters we have to know. We have to remember. We have to remember this person's here with this. Whereas when it started, it was simple. We had a set line of characters that were being pulled in. Now we got potentially Blade coming in, and then we've got Deadpool. They're going to shoehorn him in there somewhere, and now we're going to have the X-Men. And there's no telling how many characters are going to be there. Obviously, we'll have Wolverine again. We're going to have Professor X in this next movie with Doctor Strange. So I mean, it's going to get crazy here soon.
I'll probably enjoy it a little bit more when the X-Men get in there, because how much I love the Fox version of those movies.
I bet say that's how they're going to rope us back in, bring us back with the familiar characters like with them, and eventually I want to see an MCU Fantastic Four. I really want to see that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Hey, we're talking X-Men. What do you guys think of the drive to try to get Daniel Radcliffe to be
I would be 100% okay with that.
Wait a minute, I must have missed something. Hang on.
People have been campaigning hard for him to be the MCU.
Daniel Radcliffe, Wolverine.
Look at him now. He's the correct, that's when people had problems with Hugh Jackman. He was too tall. Hugh Jackman is great. His Wolverine will always be top tier.
Well,
for me, but I am 100% okay with Daniel Radcliffe.
I'm kind of worried about Brock here. Brock's not saying anything.
You're a mutant, Harry.
Can Hagrid be Beast?
He may be a bit old now.
Yeah, Robbie Coltrane's not in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Well, I'm talking about just the character of
Yeah.
Hagrid.
Oh.
Somebody else can play him. And I've seen Daniel Radcliffe recently. I'm just trying to picture it.
He's gonna be Weird Al. This is
Yeah.
He's
I
done
can't
so
wait to
much
see
stuff.
that. So
That's going to be good.
I forget the movie that he was in where he played where he had to infiltrate that gang and he played like a skinhead and he was like he had shaved his hair
oh, I
and
didn't see
he was
that.
just I forget what the name of that movie is. I have to look it up, but it just the level, the range of acting that he's got.
Mhm.
Everyone was like trying to typecast him as Harry Potter, but the thing is he is an incredibly talented actor.
He
could
is.
do it.
Mhm.
He could
Yeah.
absolutely pull off Wolverine. And
Yeah,
it would be a
I
new,
would.
fresh take on it.
I would think so. I'm not going to argue against that.
Yeah, I haven't
I mean-
shoehorned him into Harry Potter. I can definitely see that. I don't know. I guess I was just trying to visualize him, but because I love Hugh Jackman so much
Yeah.
in that role, and that's going to be difficult for me personally to see another take on Wolverine after so many wonderful years of Hugh.
Mhm.
The only other thing that they could do that they could do it right would be to get an actual like full on Canadian, like a Canadian in the role, because I mean that's what Wolverine is,
Yep.
Canadian.
Mhm.
That would be the only other winner. For a while there was a big drive to get Jared Keeso, who was Wayne from Letterkenny, to get him to be Wolverine. I was like, okay, I can see that too. I mean, he's kind of a bigger guy, which seems to be the thing. But I mean, I can see that too, and it would actually be a Canadian. And when he spoke, it would sound like a Canadian.
I'm going to call
Which
you.
I think- Listen here, guy.
Which is so funny to think, the
That's
traditional,
your buff guy.
cliche about Canadians, how they're nice and overly nice and good, and then one of the most like brutal and blunt
Ruthless.
MCU Marvel character is a Canadian. So
Yeah.
that might be his biggest superpower. He is an
Well,
aggressive
You
Canadian.
know how we like to say that Canadians are so polite because they put all of their anger, aggression, and rage into Canadian geese and send them south.
That's true.
They also put most of that in Wolverine and then just
There
let
you
him
go.
loose.
They just bottle it up and transfer it.
Hey, here you go, Professor X.
Mm.
You can have him.
I'm not your bub guy.
Yeah, you're talking about the next generation down from us, and how they consume this type of these stories and this type of media and everything, and I'm trying to hang with it as long as I can. I mean, it's, I was getting burned out on Star Wars big time.
Yep.
And then they flipped the Mandalorian on us and destroyed that fatigue and energized me like nobody's business again. So I don't know. I'm hoping Marvel can do the same. Just don't let anything happen to Scarlet Witch. Just
That says he's pleading his case here.
you keep Elizabeth Olsen in this thing. I'm with you 100%. You're not going to lose me.
Did
You
they
ditch
bring
her? Huh?
Did they bring Favreau into back into Marvel at any point? Because that's usually your indicator that things are about to get flipped and be awesome again.
Well, I
When
mean,
was the last time we saw Happy?
No
Way Home.
Mhm.
No, I'm
That's
not.
right.
I'm not even talking about the actor. I'm talking about getting him in an actual
Favreau, the
career.
producer. Yeah,
the director,
director,
the brain
producer.
trust.
Mm.
Oh, I don't know, because I know he's
Because
so
I mean,
aggressive.
he is one of the primary reasons, if not the primary reason, that Mandalorian was as successful as it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Him and
yeah.
Filoni, yep.
Him and hands down.
I think
Yeah.
that's what it goes back to. You was talking about, like, it's the thing about Mando. It's something new, but it's also so very familiar.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really
It
is
feels
familiar.
like Star Wars. It's like
Yeah, it's
It is the space western that Star Wars was designed to be.
well, and I had seen a clip on TikTok. Somebody had actually was really eloquent about it. They said the prequels, the Star Wars prequels, are good Star Wars. They're very good Star Wars. They're just
Mhm.
bad movies,
yeah,
and that the Star Wars sequels are bad Star Wars and bad movies, both together. Especially Rise of Skywalker, which the last one where they just round robin the script, and it was very obvious that there was no thought put into it. Because the thing is, if you think about Disney, if they knew that they just paid all that money for Star Wars, they should have had a plan in place, like they do with the Mandalorian, to have this thing crafted out for generations, so that they can just keep milking movies until the end of time. But they didn't. They just wanted to get as quick to the press as they could potentially get it, and that was the problem. And then they realized that, and they got Jon Favreau in there to do Mandalorian, so they could have a lot of spinoffs, and then they could either turn it into movies or turn it into TV, or Disney Plus. So I mean, they've learned their lesson, and I think that we'd have to be silly not to realize that that's also bled over into Marvel as well, with them wanting to do shows. Because to think about it from their perspective, Disney has realized that Disney Plus is probably even more profitable to them in the long term than movies are.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's more, it's right there in your home.
Yeah, well, and it's a sustainable income. They don't have to wait until a big block of money. It's just like, as long as you can keep the subscription numbers up, that's just the same as like when you own one of those automatic car washes and you do the subscription service. You hope people forget that they have that subscription service, and then you just keep getting the money.
Well, and
hi A-list, hi AMC,
exactly.
Hi.
Fix the ticket
I
system.
didn't say A-list because I didn't want to trigger you guys. That's why I did the car wash thing. Okay.